Hi, my name's Glenn Anthony. Thank you for joining me again, making this new watch. What I've done is I've added a couple of extra parts that were time consuming and a little boring. Didn't really want to bore you to death with that. So I've added them, and I've started the drawing. What I'm doing now is I'm wanting to think of a name for this watch. I always find picking names for watches very difficult. It's a motorcycle themed watch, so therefore it needs a name that is inspired from the motorcycling world. I'm trying not to give it a name like a GSX or Thou or something that will alienate every other bike in the world. So if you guys can think of a name of a watch, I would love to hear your ideas. In many ways, it's going to have a feel of a Ducati Monster with that tubular frame around the engine. But I don't want to call it anything related to that. So we'll try and keep it interesting. If you look on my website, my main watches are the Synchro and the Synchro R. The Synchro R I made last year and released it later in 2022. Alton Park, we sold a few and released it at Alton Park. And I got some new customers who were wanting a smaller version of the Synchro R, or the Synchro, sorry. So I made the Synchro R, which is a 42mm watch, whereas the Synchro is a 46mm watch, and it's a millimetre or two thinner. So it is slightly smaller, but still has that chunky engineered look, which I love in watches. Also, we ceramic coat everything, thanks to Cerakote, which is a really good low temperature coating enamel, which you have over 100 colours, and a lot of them are matte and satin colours, which are beautiful and really emulate the motorcycle world. The colours they're using at the moment, which are dark greys and matte blacks and that sort of colour, with then a hint of a bright red or a bright yellow, bright orange. So that's what I'm wanting to do with this watch, where this frame can be a red, a yellow, an orange, or even a gold. Those sort of satin colour or a bright red, that would look really good against the engine casing watch I'm going to make that this will be part of. So what I'm going to do is we're going to machine this. I've done some of the work already because it can be time consuming and a bit boring, and I make hundreds of mistakes and have to keep going back and tidying it up, which you don't really need to see all that. So we'll get to some of the more interesting parts of CAD design and machining and milling, and we'll see this part. This part is going to take a lot of machining, a lot of milling, and for one tiny little part. That will reflect in the price of the watch, of course, but it is going to take, I think it's probably going to take about 20 hours to machine this one tiny little part, and each watch is going to have two of them. So you can imagine how much is involved in making a watch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few more parts to this, and then I've got the wireframe cam set up, so we'll have a look and see how it's going to machine. So I'm just going to add a few more bits. So basically, where the strap connectors go, I'm going to need a spindle hole, and I'm going to use an M2 torque bolt to hold this the strap connector to the frame. So we're just going to put it 1.8, nail it all in. That leaves enough meat for threading. Okay, so that's the spindle holes cut in my frame. and it's starting to look like something now. So you can imagine my strap connectors sitting in there, bolted in, able to swivel. This is going to sit on the side of the watch. The crown is going to come through there, through the center. So I've got all that to think about. And the main body of the watch, this is going to sit slightly sunk into the main body of the watch. So you can only see elements of it from the top. But let's see if I can get a good machine on it. I'll just quickly save it. And I'll get it. What I'll do is I'll reselect the geometry. So there. This toolpath is going to be huge. Show you the toolpath and see how it looks. Okay, so for some reason it's only machining some of it. I don't know why. I'll have to extend the boundary. You see the boundary line there? Extending the boundary so the machine tool boundary is longer, and then I shall join these together. I go back in and have to reselect the boundary. Fingers crossed, complete the toolpath. It should encompass the whole solid model for machining. There we go. So each green line is a toolpath, so you can imagine there's a lot of tooling there. What I'm using is I'm going to rough it out with a 2mm ball tool. Run a 0.6mm ball tool over it to get the finer details. And let's try to simulate this and see how it's going to look. If it doesn't work first time, then we shall try again. We'll see how many lines of code it's going to have. Hopefully, right, so it has 65,000 lines of code. You can just see it there. I'll move the camera. So there's 65,000 lines of code. There's my block of titanium, which is 2.5mm thick. And what we're going to do is not have the toolpath on. Change it to a good angle. Press play. Right. So you can see there the 2mm ball roughed out. Some of the pockets and then some of it around the frame. I'll tidy it up with a 1mm tool in a minute, but let's use the 0.6mm tool now. You can see it's quickly going up. Obviously this is moving 10 times faster than the reality, probably 100 times faster than the reality, but we wouldn't want to sit here for hours and hours watching the simulator cut the part. This is cutting with a 200 micron gap between each sweep, so there we can see the part of the body coming out. Obviously all these lines on a computer screen look really rough and visible, but what we're going to do is once that part comes out of the machine, I'll tidy it up by hand, which will take me a couple of hours, and we'll do some more final cutting, which will tidy it up as well. We'll tidy up, make these a bit more perfect. And of course, this is just one side. It then has to be rejigged into the CNC mill, and we will machine the other side in the exact same way, so it is a three-dimensional tubular frame, which is what I'm really wanting to get. But you can see what we've got already. So this is one part of the watch that I'm really happy with so far. It's not finished by any means, but as you can see, it's forming from the titanium. That part was always in the titanium, I just had to cut it out. That's what some of the great sculptors of the world used to say, the Michelangelos and those people used to say that the sculpture was inside the marble, I just had to remove the bits, and that's the same with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish this one and we'll move on to the next one. Thank you very much for watching.